A warning to public servants about spending taxpayer funds. A government plan to deal with an early influx of seaweed. And in sports, Windies batsmen start but fail to carry on against England at Kensington.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the January 23rd edition of the CBC Evening News. And our top story: public officials who handle taxpayers' money will now be held accountable for how the funds are spent. Minister of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology, Senator Kay McConney, made the disclosure while leading off debate on the Public Finances Management Bill 2019 in the Upper House this morning. Senator McConney says the situation which existed in the past with state-owned enterprises and departments doing what they want with money for years will no longer exist.
In clauses 6 to 9 of the Public Finance Management Bill, it lays out in detail what transparency might look like. There's a fiscal framework against which performance will be managed. That framework will be aired in debates in Parliament and published electronically. In those clauses, you will see that it is mandated for the preparation and the publishing of plans up front of what agencies, government entities, public entities seek to do with monies. There's a mid-year report, there's an annual report, and for state-owned enterprises, every 2 years, a discourse with the public where the public can field questions and make comments.
Well, Senator McConney says the bill is a bold next step in prudent financial management and shows government's commitment to unprecedented levels of openness, not only to Barbadians, but to investors.
So that the public who are shareholders in the success of Barbados may have clear sight of what government plans to do with their money, what government actually did with their money, and what benefits the country has to show from it all. Show and tell, Mr. President, at the very highest level of financial management is what this bill is. And one might even say that this bill enables such a high level of transparency that government is now practically naked when it comes to the management of public finances.
Minister of Information, Broadcasting and Public Affairs, Senator Lucille Moe, has used the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation as an example of how millions of dollars in unexplained debt has been racked up at a state-owned entity. She says that these things are not fair to the taxpayers of this country.
CBC was established in 1963 for radio and 1964 for television. Between 1963 and 2007, CBC had a debt somewhere around, and let me don't give poor information, somewhere around $72 million. So between 63 and 2007, they amassed a debt of $72 million. Between 2008 and 2018, they were able to tack on almost another $40 million. So imagine, it took them from 63 to 2007 to rack up $72 million, but in the space of 10 years, they rack up almost another $40 million in debt. $40 million in 10 years. Think about that. Who is paying for that? The taxpayers.
Government Senator Lynette Holder has described the legislation as revolutionary, noting it will ensure there is prudent management by ministers and public officials never seen before.
As I read through this document, I took note, I was actually comforted in what I saw at section 20 and 3 relative to the liability of the minister. The fact that gone are the days when the minister is not held accountable and responsible for the ministry within which he or she has to lead.
Now, while supporting the Public Finances Management Bill 2019, Opposition Senator Caswell Franklin urged the Mia Amor Motley administration to bring those politicians guilty of corruption to justice. He believes while transparency is being addressed, corruption is not. He says legislation is in place to deal with it and suggests removal of pensions as a penalty.
We would be just as guilty as them if we sit down in this house or the other one and allow them to get away with it. There is enough law in Barbados to deal with it. And I don't subscribe to the fact that a politician he's getting pension. And you get the most generous pensions in Barbados, you and the Defense Force people. After 8 years, you get half your salary. After 12 years, you get 2/3. Civil servants got to work 33 and 30 years for theirs. And if that ain't enough for you, I'm sorry.
Independent Senator Reverend John Rogers has commended government for the timing and intent of the bill. During his maiden address, he told the Senate Barbados has reached a critical juncture in its development where Parliament must lay the ideological foundation for the 21st century.
The legislation is great, well crafted by our experts. But for this legislation really to do what it is supposed to do, we must now transform the consciousness of our people. We must now get our people working at a different level. We must now inspire our people to see that we work not for ourselves, but we work based on the sacrifices made by others before, in the recognition that now is our time to make the sacrifices for generations yet to come.
Barbados has been told there will be robust measures to prevent corruption with the introduction of the new Planning and Development Bill 2018. Attorney at law and consultant Christine Toppin-Alahar provided some insight into the legislation during a stakeholder review at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center.
It's in two sort of areas. One is the conflict of interest area, requiring members of the board, requiring members of the appeals panels and so on to declare any conflict of interest. But we've also provided that both the people who offer bribes and the people who receive the bribes will be committing offenses with serious punitive sanctions to be imposed in those circumstances, because it is not fair to penalize people for receiving the bribes if you do not also penalize the people who offer the bribes.
And she says there will also be strict time limits for the processing of applications.
Uncomplicated applications should take no more than 6 weeks. I think we have 10 weeks for the ones with EIAs, and 12 weeks for, 12 is for the EIAs, and 10 weeks, sorry, for the complex applications, yeah. And these deadlines can only be extended with the consent of the applicant. You know, this used to be the law till 1981, and it was deleted from the law. And since that, so we've reintroduced that safeguard that the board and the chief town planner cannot go beyond the statutory limits unless the applicant agrees.
Well, government has a plan to deal with the recent influx of Sargassum seaweed. Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Kirk Humphrey, says this is the very first time Barbados has had such a large amount of the seaweed so early in the year. But his ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of the Environment, is preparing to roll out a solution, which he says they've been working on for months.
Late last year, I went to Parliament and I requested a supplementary for my ministry to be able to have funds to buy some machinery and to be able to employ a few people to be able to clean the beaches. What we've done is that we've identified the various beaches. We've given them priority based on the beaches that have tourism, high tourist visits, high Barbadian visits, the ones that are most heavily impacted by the sargassum. And based on the priority, we've allocated, though every beach has, we've allocated persons to man each beach, or woman each beach, depending on how you look at it. We have now, each beach therefore has a person who's directly responsible for that beach. That hasn't happened before.
Meanwhile, Minister of the Environment Trevor Prescott believes Barbados must find uses for the seaweed and says his ministry has been doing just that.
Right now, we work with a number of persons, including the university, on how we can use it for the purpose of manure, how people can use it even for consumption, how people can use it for the making of soap and creams. And we're seeing a lot of this.
And Minister Prescott also revealed that work to establish a national botanical garden is officially underway. It started within the last 2 weeks.
It's a very intensive program. There's approximately over 250 acres of land opposite Commermere, and you're going to see that physical transformation. Not only myself and the ministers, but mainly the Prime Minister, that is her baby and she wants it done. We had it loitering on the landscape now for over 10 years, and we're going to make that a reality.
Police have identified the body of the man discovered at Cane Garden in St. Thomas yesterday evening. Lawmen say it is that of 35-year-old Barry Delano Taylor of Shop Hill, St. Thomas. Taylor's body was discovered around 10 minutes to 7, lying along the roadside along Edge Hill in the same parish. He had what appeared to be a laceration to the back of his neck. Lawmen are requesting the public's assistance in this matter, as well as with the investigation into the discovery of the bodies of 2 women in St. Lucie earlier this week. One was discovered on Monday and the other yesterday morning. Police believe that the woman whose body was discovered at Northumberland yesterday could be between 55 and 70 years. The other woman whose body was found at River Bay on Monday is believed to be between 40 and 45 years of age. Police are asking anyone who can assist them with their investigations to contact Police Emergency at 211 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477. Well, 3 firearms were taken off the streets following a police operation over the weekend. It was conducted by the Southern Division in the Montrose Silver Hill Christchurch area known as the 12-gauge block. Police searched about 40 people during that operation. 18 rounds of ammunition were seized along with the firearms. Police also found knives, scissors, lighters, wrappings and containers containing a quantity of vegetable matter suspected to be cannabis. Andre Jerry Jamal Seifert, 33 years of Pasture Road, Haggett Hall, St. Michael, and Sean Ricardo Weeks, 29 years of lot number 20 Kingsland Terrace, Christchurch, were arrested and charged. Seifert was charged with possession, trafficking and possession with intent to supply cannabis. Weeks, meantime, was charged with possession of cannabis. Well, Barbadians have been reacting to yesterday's announcement that government will be banning a number of single-use plastic products effective April 1st. Many people say that the ban has been long in coming. Others believe it will have a positive impact on the environment.
I think that's a fantastic idea. If you go to see all the sargassum and so on, that's creating all the plastic rubbish that's collected. That's affecting the fish and things like that. So I'm wholeheartedly behind that. If I had some money, I'll give you all some money to help clean up the place with all that stuff.
At least the beaches and the sea would be cleaner. The gullies would be a whole lot better off. But I think we're going to have to start with educating people about the use of the things that we're putting out there in the public and in the environment. That's how I feel about it personally.
Are you aware of what the alternatives would be then to these plastic items?
Yeah, because I use them, the cards, card straws, card cups, and stuff which is better than the plastic anyhow, because the plastic alone itself contributes to cancer as well. Because when you have things stored in the refrigerator with plastics, it goes into the food and then it creates the cancer and stuff like that among people.
I think it's a very good decision.
Why?
Because like when you're cleaning the gutters, everything choke up with the plastic. So I think it's a good decision.
Do you have any concerns, any reservations?
No, I don't have any, none at all.
And staying with that environmental theme, we've heard the cries of the Barbados Water Authority about the impact of fats, oils and grease or fogs on the sewer system, particularly on the south coast of the island. As our Lisa Boom tells us, one service club has stepped in to try to divert some of those fogs and teach children about the environment at the same time.
It may seem like a fairly mundane thing what these students here at the St. Lawrence Primary School are about to do in conjunction with the Progressive Optimist Club and Niven Eco Oil. But it all has the potential in the long run to save the south coast of the island and perhaps Barbados as well.
With that first pour, Delante Jackson kicked off Let's Rocco, or Let's Recycle Old Cooking Oil. According to Shana McAllister, chair of Progressive's Environmental Committee, they're encouraging the students to bring used cooking oil, which will be converted into a viable product.
We have this program because we're trying to address some of the challenges that have been facing the South Coast Sewage Treatment Plant, with the fats, oils and grease being poured into the drains and affecting the sewage treatment system.
Given the challenges they've had on the south coast, the Barbados Water Authority welcomes the effort to keep fogs out of the system.
Once fats, oils or grease go into the sewer, they go in liquid form, but they harden when cool, and they can cause blockages in our sewer lines. When that builds up, you'd be surprised to see that it can almost resemble concrete at that stage.
Well, the school is almost at ground zero for the issues on the coast, and Principal Andrea Cheltenham says it places them in the perfect position to take part.
It's very important for the children so that they understand the importance of not throwing oils into the sewage, and they understand the damage that those products can do to the environment.
Niven Eco Oil will collect the oil, convert it and prepare it for export. So all that's left now to do is... Lisa Broom, CBC News.